Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. This evening's topic: integration, technology, and social media are dividing black people. Now, why do I say this? Well, when it comes to black people and integration, and I don't believe integration is something bad. But when we integrated with other races of people, we had already lost our identity back in slavery. But it made it worse when we integrated into other societies because we tried to be like other races of people and it doesn't work. See, black people, we are very unique in what we do. And if you look at it, some of our cultures have been imitated by other peoples. If you look at the Greek society, look at where they got their symbols from. Look at where the Italians got their symbols from. Everybody got their information and their symbology and their architecture from Egypt, which is in Africa. Now, at that time, African American people had an identity. I still do believe we have an identity. But the problem is when we integrated in other societies, we don't want to go back and learn our own history, and that's a problem. Now, what's interesting about African American people is that even with integration, why do we have two types of black people? Well, that's easy. One type of black person believes in the government. And when the government gives you something free, you don't care about the upkeep. You don't even care about it at all because it's not yours, it's the government's. Now, within I call it the governmental society. I don't use the word hood anymore because hood stands for neighborhood. Because I can call Upper Marlboro, Maryland, Largo, Maryland, Kettering, Maryland, and there's some other progressive African American communities that are prospering with businesses and upstanding African American people that I can call hoods themselves. The hood does not necessarily mean that it's full of single mothers and Section 8 people. It's just a neighborhood. We get the name hood from hip hop music and other genres like television. Because the real ghettos came from the Italians and the Jewish people. That's where the word ghetto came from. Because they were in ghettos when they assimilated into America. But going back to us as African American people, we've lost our ways because we've integrated, because we have a portion of us trying to be like Caucasian people. And we're trying to go along to get along, and it's not working for us. In fact, we can go out and get some education, but at the end of the day, we're still black. I did a video on it. And for the educated amongst us, we have the same contention that the ratchet amongst us have. There's no real leadership in the African American community because there is no African American community. We've been in tug of war with each other as long as I can remember, and I'm going to go back to the 90s. Now, everybody believes that it was black women who got on the venues like Jesse Jones, Sally Jesse Raphael, Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, and others, and started bashing black men. That is very true. But what's not said, what about the rappers in those days when gangster rap was hot, and how black men behind a microphone were disrespecting black women? You see, the 90s, in my humble opinion, really led to the demise. And why do I say that? Because you had your TV shows on, you had your hip hop music, then you had your technology. Of course, many of us in the African American community had beepers. We didn't have cell phones. You had to have great credit to have a cell phone. Plus, the cell phones in those days were bricks, big Motorola's, and then they became big walkie-talkies. And then right around 2000, that's when cell phones started shrinking. But back then, when it came to the cell phones, many cell phones had plans where, again, they checked your credit and you had minutes, and you couldn't get free airtime until after 7 o'clock. Everybody who has Sprint and who had Sprint, you can justify what I'm saying. But going back to integration, ever since black people have integrated, we have not been able to gain any steam to build any positive black communities. Now, you have a few here and there, but there haven't been any other Black Wall Streets. Now, I can defend why that hasn't happened. And this is very simple. Because if we do build something, they're going to come tear it down because they're threatened. Because they want us to be consumers of their businesses. You already know who I'm talking about when I say they. But that being said, what happened in the 90s with the hip-hop culture and the television, that started. Because ever since then, it has been a clash between black men and black women. Now, is it justified? There are areas where it is justified. But when it came to technology, that's the next step, the cell phone. And this is really troubling because sites such as World Star Hip Hop, and I know Brother Tommy Sotomayor, he's used some videos that individuals have sent them with the ratchet behavior from World Star Hip Hop and other venues. Now, the reason why it's problematic, because what that is doing, other non-black people can see what's going on in the black community from World Star Hip Hop and how they view us on television when we disrespect one another. In fact, black people are the only race that are judged based on television and social media, because that's what people see of us. You see, if we didn't have social media or cell phones, nobody would know about how black people act. But with the cell phones, here's what's happening. You have a number of black people recording events, particularly when there's African American women fighting, African American men fighting, and they're putting it on the internet so everybody can see it. You look what happened when individuals have posted events on Facebook Live. Black folks, people are getting the bad perception of us because we're cutting our own throats. Instead of breaking up fights and teaching each other that disrespecting each other is very wrong. Now, of course, there is the demise of the family, and the government did that. That was part of the strategy. And what we don't understand is that we're being utilized as pawns to basically breed ourselves out. I mean, it's no secret. But see, we're too ignorant to look at it. We're too comfortable in our own skin to change our behavior as African American people. A number of us have histrionic personality disorders, borderline personality disorders, anger issues. That's why we have the violence in our community. And we also have not grown up. We don't know how to take truth. We don't know how to collaborate with one another. And you all can hate this video, because I know I'm going to get some thumbs down on this video because you're probably the individual I'm talking about. But for those who understand what I'm saying, get the likes up on this video, because I am telling the truth, because I see it in the real world. I don't allow social media to define who I am. But a lot of us who don't read, who don't investigate what's going on, I had to make this video because we're sending the wrong signals out to non-black people that we're all ratchet. And that could be furthest from the truth. But when we see all these reality shows of women cussing each other out, we see the men getting violent with each other, and it's basically over something ignorant. You ever notice that? I can remember the fights that black men got in were over a woman, and women got in fights over men. And some of them led to violent endings, like a person getting shot. But when it comes to the technology, like cell phones, black people, stop filming every event that you see outside. Because what's happening, every time you post it, you're not the only one who watches World Star Hip Hop. There are non-black people who watch it as well, in other venues, and videos in the black sector of YouTube. And they get the idea in their head that we're all violent savages. This is why other folks outside our race don't want to approach us. Because we've given them that perception that we are animals. We're not human. And the worst part is social media, particularly YouTube. A lot of black people are really airing out their dirty laundry because their lives suck right now, because they don't have anything going on in their lives, and they figure to get behind the camera on YouTube and air out their grievances instead of going to a counselor. And that's the thing I've always said about black people. We're afraid to go get counseling. Now, of course, not all of us have the resources to get counseling, but we need to start recognizing our mental state, because it is not the attitude, the weaves, the tattoos, and all that we talk about. No, it is our mental state. And because we don't look at our mental state, because we think it's white people's issues, we seem to sweep everything under the rug and we put it out on the internet with our cell phones with the likes of World Star Hip Hop. And if you look at some of the R&B music, okay, R&B music used to be about love. In the 90s, that all changed. Don't get me wrong, I like some of Mary J. Blige's music, but the problem with Mary J. Blige's music, yes, she can sing, but a lot of her music, if you study music, is basically samples from other people's music. But individuals today think that's music, but you look at what she's singing about. It's always some drama. Look at what Beyonce is singing about. And when people look at us in the media, they look at individuals who are savages, who are negative toward one another, who don't have anything going for themselves, and never will have anything going for ourselves, because we keep allowing ourselves to be our own demise. And the worst thing you give a black person is a cell phone with a camera, because we keep taking pictures of events that really encourage bad behavior. Now it's up to the parents, if there are any parents left, to try to teach their kids about what they're looking at on television, about what they're posting on Facebook, and about their cell phones. I mean, it disturbs me when African Americans are out at a McDonald's, two people are getting loud, nobody wants to step in and stop it. They all have their cameras out and they're recording the event and they're posting it and laughing about it on the internet for everybody else to see, and then we all get judged. And then when it comes to YouTube, it's a shame that we can't have collaboration on YouTube. You know, brothers, we have a circle, but in that circle there's always internal strife. Sisters, there's always internal strife, and there's the constant back and forth and what we call beefing here on YouTube and when it comes to Facebook Live. Social media was not a good venue for black people. This is why it's very difficult for us to even have our own venue, because if that ever happened, it wouldn't last for a minute, because we don't know how to disagree with each other. We don't even know how to talk to one another. But we'll go out there, both black men and black women, we'll console that Caucasian man thinking that he's God, he's better than we are. I'm going to tell you, the Caucasian people, what they do that we don't do, they have what we call the 6 degrees, or what I call the 6 degrees of separation. If you're the ratchet white folk, you're not going to be out there with the influential white folk. You're the trash. The trash stays right where it is, in the trash. The problem with us African American people, we include all the Shaniquas and the Daquans because we're too benevolent, which means loving. We're too inclusive. We got to learn how to be exclusive and separate ourselves, and I'm talking about the common black folk, from the ratchet black folk. And when that happens, we can have a community again. But even the educated African Americans, we got to get along with each other as well. We don't know how to get along with each other. We actually hate each other. And we hate each other because of social media. We hate each other because of the music, the television shows that have portrayed us as either someone's side piece, or they portrayed us as bitches and hoes, ugly niggas ain't shit. That's what has happened to us. And of course I should have included the media in this video, because when the 90s came, that really started everything. Now the 80s, there were some glimpses of it, but when I grew up in the 80s, there was the AIDS scare. So basically everything was pretty conservative. But when the 90s came, that's when you had the influx of the internet. Social media started to be part of our culture. And then it's grown into a billion-dollar industry. And what's happening, black people, with the technology, with us using the technology, people are probably making money off the videos that you are taking pictures of, but you're not making money off of these videos. You're doing it for free, while somebody else is making big money marketing the buffoonery that we are utilizing for our own comedy. Because let's face it, black folk, we love drama. We don't want to hear the truth. Our lives are full of drama, and we know it. It's just that social media has been an escape route for us to even put more drama out there. And I have to question my African brothers and sisters, or African American brothers and sisters. Do you want to keep living as perceived savages, or do you want to grow into something that could actually enhance your education or your information, your confidence? Now, some of you, yes, but a number of us, no. Now, the ones that I pick, no, they might not know how to do it. Because the biggest demise, even before social media, was the family and the government. Now, even the educated black men and women, with all that school that they have, I don't care if you went to an HBCU, which is a historically black college and university, or you went to a traditionally white school like a Harvard. There's one thing that none of us have ever studied. We don't study our own history. There's a lot of good in our history. But we've allowed integration, technology, and social media. Now, with the social media, too many of us are on YouTube airing out our grievances, and we're showing people who we are. Now, I don't get on YouTube talking about black women or black men like a number of African American men and women do, because I'm not angry. I see where the anger is coming from. Certainly, we've had individuals in our community who were making us nervous, who are making us angry. But the bottom line is, when we put it out on YouTube for everybody else to see, they're getting the perception in their head that we're all savages. There have been some smart black people through the years who've created open heart surgery, the elevator, the ironing board, the hot comb, the mailbox. But besides me talking about it during my Black History series, we don't talk about that. Because the problem with the African American community is that education doesn't mean anything, because we love drama. That's the problem. And even though I'm talking about integration, technology, and social media, what we have to change as African American people is our mindset. A lot of us are mentally ill out here, and we don't know it. We have anger issues. We have issues of delusion and paranoia. Some of us have been molested, raped. These are big problems. Some of us have histrionic personality disorders. We seek attention through promiscuity and other venues because we want to make ourselves known. And that's exactly what's going on when we keep filming all the buffoonery that's going on. That's a histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. Now, going back to the histrionic personality disorder, when we are putting information out that is violent, and you have other people looking at us, giving us that attention that we're all violent, well, that hurts us in the long run. Because even the cops out there are going to get the perception that black people are destructive. This is probably why they want to take a billy club and crack us upside the head most of the time. It's wrong, but a number of them do. Because they view us based on what they see in the media. So when it comes to social media, YouTube, maybe we need to redirect our content and put more positive videos out there instead of negative videos. That way, people who view our content can look at us more in a positive light. But that's going to take a long time to change. It's not going to be overnight. Because we have to change the mindset within the African American community. We have too much tug of war going on with each other for power, and we're not getting anywhere. And all we're doing with each other, we're being disrespectful to each other. We actually hate each other, but we'll worship the other man instead of ourselves. And when we're uplifting the other man, who actually caused our demise through slavery, we have what I call Stockholm Syndrome. And Stockholm Syndrome is when we defend the oppressor. And that's exactly what's happening. So, what I'm telling African American people is take time to slide away from social media. Look at the real world. Because when I go out in the real world, what I see out there, certainly it is taking place. But there are wonderful black folk in the real world. And another problem, if we want to connect with decent black people, there are not enough venues for us to connect. I mean, online dating is not good because people can put a picture in a profile. Many people who are on there lie about who they are anyway. There are not enough clubs for black people, unless you can find a black American Legion or join the Prince Hall Masons. But other than that, most of the venues are for young people. But what we need to do is utilize our churches to help bring back the positivity, because the church was the symbol of the community. Education. We need to start uplifting education. And in order to change the mindset, we have to tip the scales or tilt the scales back to where we favor religion and education. Because right now, the scales are tilted toward buffoonery and savagery. And that's getting all the press about black people, and that's allowing other races of people to look at us as being animals instead of human beings. So what I'm urging everybody to do is, if you see a fight out there, for the most part, stop recording it, putting on World Star Hip Hop, and putting it on YouTube. And if you're a YouTuber out there, yeah, it's easy to go back and forth and talk about how bad black people are, how bad black men, black women are. But start reading up and putting different types of content out. Because in order for anybody to come together, is we got to teach. Now, like I said, I have a small channel, and I advocate positivity. Certainly, I will tell you the truth. But what I'm doing is trying to uplift individuals with some knowledge that they never had, because colleges aren't going to teach you everything. Colleges are about money. But when you allow technology and social media, and of course, integration, dictate how we are or how we should be, then we're going down the wrong path. So what I'm urging everybody to do is step back from utilizing your cell phone, understand that we need segregation instead of integration, and stop using the social platform like YouTube and Facebook to air out all of your grievances. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to black men and black women, we hate each other because of these venues. See, if we had segregation, it would force us to have our own community, because it happened, it worked. Now, if we utilized our cell phones as devices where we can obtain information instead of filming bullshit, that cell phone could be utilized as a tool of proper communication. You should use your cell phone to make calls or check your emails. There's nothing wrong with having a camera, but we're filming too much nonsense out there, and we're putting it up for everybody to see it. And for social media, like Instagram, listen, sisters, don't utilize your hips and your thighs for attention. Utilize your mind. Because like the United Negro College Fund has always stated, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Yes, some of you got good bodies out there, but you don't want to show everybody your goods. So utilizing Instagram, that's not good. Utilizing Facebook Live and filming murders and filming negativity, that's not good. And utilizing YouTube, that's not a good source either. Because all we're doing, at the end of the day, we're making a mockery of ourselves, and that is how we are being perceived by other people, as savages. And it's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show for this evening, Monday, October 2nd, 2017. You can tune into the 401 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. And of course, if you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now on this channel, I don't engage in debates, controversy, or emotional issues, and that just depends on the audience member, how they take the information that I deliver. You're emotional, well, it might be controversial and emotional, but I do not participate in drama and or unnecessary bickering. Why? Because it's counterproductive. What I'm doing is giving you my perspective on the issues that I research, and I'm trying to teach individuals who are coachable, who are willing to learn about how the real world works. Because if you don't have any information, you're going to be lost. And just like I talked about today, integration, technology, and social media, that's going to give other people the perceptions of you when you don't have any information on how destructive integration, technology, and social media are to us as African Americans. If you understand how the real world works through education, you'll be able to make proper decisions, because when you have knowledge, you have power. And if you have a new business, a topic, or a YouTube channel that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, and filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed evening.